Hey everybody, my name is Nicole Greer and I want to talk to you about building a vibrant culture, which we do one employee at a time. I want to talk today about hiring that ideal candidate and most importantly, looking at their energy. So when you sit down to look at a resume or interview somebody live and in person, I want you to kind of be thinking about this framework to decide if this person is the right person to come work for you. Every human being on planet Earth, you, me, and all the other folks on planet Earth have 6 energies. And these 6 energies are going to tell you how they're going to come into your workplace, how they're going to move, and what kind of impact and influence they're going to have. And so let's first start with the 6 energies. So get your pen and paper, write this down. So the first energy that we're going to look at is the fact that people have intellectual energy. So they have the ability to use their brain. Now this might seem, well, I know that, Nicole, but here's the thing. You want somebody who intentionally is using their brain and they have what I call a growth mindset. So write down this bonus material, go check out Carol Dweck on YouTube here and watch a video about growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Somebody who uses their intellectual energy has serious intellectual energy, meaning that they want to learn, they want to grow. So when I sit down and I look at a resume, the first thing I'm looking for is the fact that this person has gained skills, has gained knowledge, has gone and taken classes or gotten certifications or done something to increase their knowledge and challenges themselves to learn. Because here's the truth of the matter. You might hire somebody to come inside of your organization and you think to yourself, well, I'm going to train them. I'm going to tell them everything they need to know. I realize that, but you've got to have somebody that's trainable, somebody that's coachable, and somebody that wants to use the plasticity that exists in their brain. So you want to do that. Now, I have a couple of interview questions that help you kind of take a look at that. The first interview question that I ask is I will ask people, tell me about the last time you had to learn something that was more difficult than you thought. Somebody who can articulate that is a keeper, because here's what you don't want. You don't want to hire somebody that gets in the group and you've got maybe some folks in your group that say, this is the way we've always done it, and then they join the band. You don't want that. You want somebody who's like all about change readiness, and ability to use their plasticity. The second question that we want to make sure people are asked during the interview is this question: what books are you currently reading, or what was the last book that you read? Now, if people look like, they're like, what, books, reading books, you need to move on, especially if you're putting somebody into a position where they're going to have to read on the internet about how to keep up with technology or how to keep up with the industry. Here's the truth about great employees, vibrant employees, is great employees read. And I also think if you're hiring for a leadership position, leaders read. If you lead, you gotta read. So I think that's really important. So that is our intellectual knowledge. So you gotta really look for, when you're looking for this ideal candidate, are they a lifelong learner? Energy number 2 is emotional energy. Here's what we want to think about. Look through the resume and say to yourself, does it look like this person is on teams? Number 1. Number 2, are they somebody who might have some kind of altruistic bent, right? So look for volunteer information. Look for language that says, I helped, or I served, or I contributed to the team, okay? So you're looking for this idea that this person, don't miss this, cares. In fact, I'll tell you a quick story. I was working with a team one day and we had the whole leadership team around the table, and this one senior leader says, well, I don't really care what we do. And he meant it. So don't miss that. This guy has zero good emotional energy. He just told the whole team he doesn't care, and he meant it. We don't want that kind of guy on the team, right? We want somebody with that emotional energy that can put out into the space the fact that they love what they're doing, they love the team they're on, and they love the company. Like, this is really important, right? So we've got to find people who love and people who care. So when you're interviewing, you want to kind of look for those 2 things. Now, Now, there's another thing that goes along with emotional energy is this idea of emotional intelligence. And so I want to share with you real quickly that there are 4 things inside of emotional intelligence. The first one is self-assessment, right? Like, I understand that what I feel and what I emote, what emotions I put out there, affect the people around me. Like the guy I was just talking about, did he understand that what he was emoting, was he being a great emotionally intelligent person? Say no. We want somebody who will emote the right thing, and they have the self-awareness to do that, right? So that's bucket number 1 in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence bucket number 2 is self-management, right? So not only am I self-aware, but I also manage myself, right? We need people who can come to work and who can turn it on while they're at work, and they can be in a good mood, especially if they are customer facing. You know, they've got to be the kind of person, like, even if they had a bad morning with the people at the house that they live with, they showed up at work this morning with a smile on their face, and they've got to have enough emotional intelligence to understand that, you know, I got to turn off this bad stuff and I got to turn on the good stuff. We want somebody who has enough emotional intelligence to know to turn off the bad and turn on the good. Let's work while it's time to work, and then when we get off work and go back home, we can figure out what's going on at the house. All right, so that's emotional intelligence in terms of self, right? You've got self-awareness and self-management. Now, if we can control this person right here, here's what happens. You start to get a ton of respect. And here's what you want to do. You want to hire employees that others respect, because it helps us take ourselves up a higher level. Like, if I think the people around me are awesome, guess what I try to be? Awesome. The third bucket for emotional intelligence is social awareness. So there is kind of like this thing where people move into a space and they can read the room. Can you do that? I bet you can. So you can kind of assess and feel what's going on in the room. So that's social awareness. And then there's the 4th bucket, which is relationship management. So if I'm a leader or I'm hiring a new employee that's going to be on a team, and odds are most of the people you're going to hire are going to be on some kind of team or do some kind of teaming, and they have to be able to check in with people and notice what's going on, because guess what happens when you have people who are in a great mood? It will put everybody else in a great mood. So, you know, these things are very important. Emotional energy, I think, is almost more important than any of the other energies. So it's really important we hire people with great emotional energy. So here's a couple of interview questions that you can ask about emotional energy. The first question we can ask is, we can say, tell me about a time that your excitement or your mood or your energy influenced an outcome very positively, right? So when did you bring yourself in the room and you were enthusiastic and you were fantastic and everybody around you joined in? Because that is an amazing, vibrant employee. That's what we want. A second question might be, tell me about a time where you worked on a team and you shifted the energy so that the team could move through a rough spot. What did you do? What did you say? What strategy did you put in place? This will tell you if you have somebody who can do social awareness and relationship management. Oh, I could talk about that all day. All right, so that is energy number 2. All right, now we're going to talk about energy number 3. The third energy that I want to talk to you about is spiritual energy. And spiritual energy is like energy that emanates from somebody's core, like, dare I say it, from their soul. And the way that we know somebody has the spiritual energy is because, number 1, they're putting it out in the room, kind of like the whole, ether out here changes when you meet this person. When I think about somebody with spiritual energy, I think about this idea that they are using their will to get things done. You know that old saying, when there's a will, there's a way? Well, in this case, I think it is absolutely true. And when we're trying to hire a vibrant employee so we can build a vibrant culture, we've got to find these people who have that will engaged. Now, when somebody has their will engaged, they have this character trait that I adore, and I think it is essential in finding a new employee. This character trait called willingness. All right. Now, I read a book in the way back. It's by a gentleman named Mike Hernacki. It's called The Ultimate Secret to Getting Absolutely Everything You Want. In the book, Mike Hernacki defines what willingness is. And here's what you want to write down. Write this down. Willingness is the ability to do what needs to be done without reservation, refusal, or judgment. Like, it just needs to be done. So that's what we want on our team. We don't want people on our team that are like, that's not my job. Have you ever heard that one before? I bet you have. And we want people that walk into a space, they look around, they assess, and they start going to work. So I'm gonna give you a little example. You know, back in the day, I used to be in property management. I ran beautiful apartment communities up and down the East Coast. I was very lucky, very blessed. But you know, when I think about, reflect on those days, I mean, somebody trusted me enough that they gave me the keys to everybody's home in this apartment community. And, I think the reason why I did so well in my career is because I had this character trait of willingness. Like, I just really did want to take care of people, which was energy number 2. Don't miss that. Loving people, emotional energy. So, I got the key to the front door because I was willing to do whatever was necessary. So that could be as simple as somebody threw a cigarette butt down in the parking lot. So I picked it up. I used to pick them up and put them in my pocket and, have to dry clean my clothes later. But I mean, I wanted my apartment community to look pristine. I wanted my people that live there to enjoy living there and be proud to live there. And then it might be as complicated as I would have a mother call and say, my daughter just got off the bus and she's not answering her cell phone. And I don't know if she's in the apartment or not. Will you go check on her? So I get on my little golf cart, drive over there and check on her and call the mother. And the mother could be like, oh, good. Everybody's good. I'm good. You're good. The baby's good. And that's what I call spiritual energy, right? Is that I'm just willing to do whatever needs to be done. And here's the other thing about spiritual energy. Spiritual energy is all about faith, okay? So faith that we can grow, faith that we can come up with a new product, faith that we can change the quality of our service, faith that we can build a vibrant culture. There's just kind of like this underlying belief that things are possible. And then there's this willingness to turn what is possible into the probable through a little action. So how do you find this person? Well, during the interview process, you want to ask them a question and say, when during your last position or your current position, did you kind of step outside of what was required on your job description and you went the extra mile? Can you tell me about a time you had faith in a new process, a new procedure, a new product, a new service, and you weren't getting a lot of support, but you pressed through anyways and you got it done? Here's what I know. A lot of times in the interview process, these interviewees are so nervous. And I think a lot of times people ask questions that try to trip people up. I don't suggest that. And what we want to do is we want people to tell us how you have been vibrant. So ask them a question about how they've been willing.
Catch the part 2 of this video, 6 energies for hiring the right person.
Let's build a vibrant culture together.